So now we move on to the Cincinnati Bengals heading into I don't know. Do you look at the Cincinnati Bengals like a AFC Championship loser hangover type deal?
Well, they won the AFC Championship.
Super Bowl hangover type deal. Obviously, we saw what they did last year. Joe Burrow lit the world up. He's a great quarterback. He's now a top 10 guy right away, based off accolades alone, which is fantastic, right? Then you look at the guys that they kept around, right? So another year of Jamar Chase, another year of T. Higgins. And T. Higgins, I feel, is not talked about enough. The kid is really good. So they kept everybody together. Very excited about that for them. Again, losses, ready for this? They had, there's some guys they didn't bring back and have not signed anywhere else. So clearly they're not valuable. Bro, they re-signed 17 of their own going into this year, right? Including, I don't know who is including, but I will say they also added Lyle Collins. I talked about him briefly yesterday from the Cowboys after that debacle. I don't really understand that. There was a swap at tight end. You said CJ Azuma, he's now a Jet, right? Yeah. But they signed Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is one of those guys. He wasn't put on that list at all, right?
No.
Hayden Hurst is a very good tight end, and he's going to find out, you're all going to find out just how good he is with Joe Burrow, because Hayden Hurst came from a really decent system, a decent quarterback in Matt Ryan. It's just, that offense just wasn't clicking, and they weren't a good football team. Hayden Hurst is going to explode this year. Okay, I really like him. He does a fantastic job with mental health awareness, too, so he's definitely... For me, he's one of my guys. The losses is one, CJ Azuma, but I think they got a better tight end now. Ogunjobi, the defensive lineman, that's a big loss. But they took all of their draft capital, including Daxton Hill, their safety, first-round pick, 6 defensive players. So they're bolstering this defense right now. Some would say, when you look at last year's Super Bowl, I can't say the defense was the reason they lost. It was just like Burrow was on the run again, and just getting his ass kicked by Aaron Donald.
There was
constantly.
There was that one play where Jamar Chase cooked Jalen Ramsey on the last play of the game, where he was wide open and Burrow got sacked. You don't see that enough, but that was a real fucking thing. He definitely
was wide,
cooked the shit out of him. He was wide open.
Seam.
It was almost like a Larry Fitzgerald moment. There would have been no time for the Santonio Holmes counter moment. So It was one of those, it was a crazy situation. The Bengals were literally this close, and it was the offensive line that they didn't draft.
They drafted somebody in the second round who wound up being okay.
But no. Everybody points to the fact that they're not protecting Joe Burrow. They should have drafted offensive line. But Jamar Chase was that pick. I think they made the right pick.
They did, absolutely.
He's a stud.
Yeah, and now, like I said,
because they would have been he would have had all the time in the world, and Jalen Ramsey would have locked down whatever receiver that wasn't Jamar Chase in that situation. Nor would they have been in the Super Bowl.
I was gonna say, I don't think they make the Super Bowl if they don't draft Jamar Chase.
Right, I agree. And again, adding a Lyle Collins, he was one of the bullies on the offensive line for the Cowboys, right? I mean, there was times he was a little suspect, but overall, he's a big body over there, right tackle, and young. So
I've been looking at the Bengals, and I cling to the fact that they're in the Super Bowl last year and they lost, and there's a Super Bowl hangover. And I initially came out and said, I'm just not high on them this year. I think that they're going to have a tough go of it based on their scheduling. And the more I look at it, and I look around their division, outside of the fact that they have the hardest schedule within their division, they're clear cut the best roster in the AFC North right now.
They are. And that's why they're right. Well, actually, remember yesterday,
I firmly believe
2 days ago,
they have by far the best head coach.
We read that they were not the favorites to win the division. I believe it was the Ravens who were actually the betting favorite to win the division.
To me, I find it hard to believe it's the same deal. Whereas the Bengals are not favored to win the division, but their projected win total is higher than the Ravens is.
Sam Grasso coming in, Mixon a bit underrated. Your thoughts?
I agree.
I personally, I understand the stats, and we talked about it the other day. As far as I think he popped up on as the number 6 rusher on the execs thing from ESPN. But I look at Mixon he's for me, and this is just personal opinion, he's like a stub toe away from missing 3 weeks. You know what I mean? He stayed relatively healthy last year, but the year before that was rough. So he doesn't have the overall track record of staying healthy. But if he is healthy He's a very dynamic player on the field.
I think
and he doesn't get the respect.
I think a
he
lot of
deserves.
people have developed a deep hatred for Joe Mixon due to drafting him in a fantasy league. One of the seasons he's gotten hurt, and now you attach injury to him. But he played 16 games 3 years ago. He missed time 2 seasons ago, and then last season he played 16 out of 17 games. To me, in the league that we're talking about, it's like Devontae Adams missed 3 games,
but
7 games over that stretch.
Let's be fair. There was a lot of questionable marks going into some of these games for Mixon. So he was banged up and he just wound up playing.
Shout out to the NFL for everyone getting hurt in it. I agree. But Mixon plays fucking good. If you look at his averages, he's averaging over 4 yards a carry behind what I thought was a shoddy offensive line for the most of his career. Cincinnati just finally started getting it going. They now have a really good quarterback. They have some guys on the outside. Mixon, clear position to vault into the top 5. In rushing, you could call it he gets involved in the receiving game.
Catches the ball to the backfield well.
I do think Mixon is a bit underrated only because I think there's a negative connotation surrounding how often he gets hurt. But if you look around the league, it's on par with the league standard.
All right, so let's break down the schedule here, okay? They are officially being listed as a 10-win team, okay? Last year they went 10-7. They won the division by a half a game because the Steelers kissed their sister and they tied. So projection wins this year is 10 wins again. So what Vegas is saying is that they didn't get any worse, but they also didn't get that much better.
Yeah, so the projected win total is 10, but it has the 3rd best odds in the league in terms of going over. So a lot of times when you see the win totals it's like 10, but it's minus 120, plus 130 to go under, right? They're plus 110 to go over. Very good. They're gonna,
really?
Yeah, they're.
Oh, so they got plus money to go over.
I like them going over this year. Now that I'm looking at everything.
Let's talk about it because right now they also have the 3rd toughest schedule in the NFL. And obviously, when you deal with that division that they're dealing with, yesterday when I was talking to Rob about the Steelers to me weren't a team built to sweep any teams within the division. Do you find the Bengals can sweep a team within the division? Because that right away, that helps obviously the over-under, but also their bid to win the NFC.
They
AFC
played
North.
well within the division last year. They beat up on Baltimore. The one game where it was big moments. They had some big moments. They beat up on some good teams last year. They
also got crushed by the Jets.
Yeah, to me, that's where the anomalies come from. And it's you see that, but the NFL is full of guys that played football their whole life. Right? And they wear cleats and everything.
You're like B Rabbit right now. I'm just gonna use everything that you got against me.
It is.
Anyway, so we start with the Steelers home
their
game.
Head coach, I believe in their head coach, and I think that's going to be the difference in a lot of these.
I like their head coach
games.
too.
He fought his way back because I think he was on the hot seat potentially going into last season, and then all he did was go 3-1 in the postseason, and the rest is history.
Just piggybacking off the Mixon conversation, maybe somebody joining us late. One Nation Underground is saying that Mixon finished 4th last year in rushing, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. So yeah, there's no bashing contest on Mixon. We think he's underrated. So we think that he's primed for another good year. Yeah, you add a better offensive line, which they have.
Joe
Mixon could have a phenomenal year. So schedule wise, starting at home with the Steelers. I said yesterday in the Steelers preview, if anybody wanted to take the Steelers serious this year, they would have to go on the road and beat Cincinnati, but I don't see it happening. Not at least week 1. I just don't. Obviously, the picks will be in, obviously, the week before or the Sunday before or the Friday before.
So this is the problem that I have, and I'm only saying this. It's I think that if no matter what happens in that game, if Pittsburgh goes into Cincinnati and they don't beat Cincinnati, to be they don't need to be recognized right away. I think Pittsburgh is going to take some time with their system, and I think Trubisky sucks. So I think that eventually you're going to see somebody else there.
Week 2 is an absolute 1,000% loss for the Cincinnati Bengals as they travel to Dallas. So that'll be fun. Burrow. No, this is definitely the game that Chase does the gritty all over the star or some shit. I don't know what it's going to be, but whatever. They're going to New York again, in which again the Jets beat them up last year. Maybe the Cincinnati Bengals got that chip going on, saying, I don't know about this year, bro. Watch us this year. We'll see.
But they didn't beat him up. That was a great game.
It
was the Mike White game.
I thought they crushed them.
No, didn't they have
Sure. I forgot that he
I thought
played
Mike White had some heroics late. And it was a survivor thing that was
34-31. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the Jets put up 34 on anybody was a surprise and an anomaly last year. But anyway, so they got the Steelers, Cowboys, Jets, first 3. Then the Dolphins, at Ravens, at New Orleans. So yes, in those first 6 games, it's an even split. Actually, no. It's 4 on the road. So the Bengals are going to have to be some road warriors to get off to the hot start, and that's including 1-2 division games within the start of their schedule. So they get out of there 3-3. I say that's a victory for me.
I feel like they did well on the road in the postseason last year. I think they don't have many issues playing
Because
on the road.
of my man with ice in his veins, Money McPherson.
But we're talking about really like everybody has this conception that the idea that the Bengals are a pass first team because of their receiving talent. They're really not. You know, I think they were 20th in the league in terms of passing attempts last year. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow was probably the most efficient quarterback in the league based on how little they threw and how his counting stats actually added up. I'm not sure where he falls in the efficiency range, but it's like really efficient.
After that 6-week stretch, they got the Falcons, which, again, I think the Falcons are going to be not bottom feeders, but I think they're going to have a tough go at it. Their secondary is good, but, again, offense, we'll see. Then they go at Cleveland, Carolina. They get their bye in week 10, so 9 games before the bye. If you gave me 1, 2, what did I mark down? 3, 4, 5. If you gave me a 5-4 record after 9, I think that's a very, very good thing for the backstretch. And I got them losing, obviously, against Dallas because I'm just being, a joker. But, like, in realistic terms, going on the road to Baltimore and on the road to New Orleans is not going to be easy for these guys. It's just not. Anybody goes to New Orleans. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah,
New Orleans is just a different beast.
Of course, but this
at
team,
home.
I just think that, last year, we're not to talk about last year, but, the Bengals present a lot of problems.
Anyway, so at Pittsburgh, at Tennessee, no easy feat there. Maybe they do get that Tennessee game. I can see that. Then they got to go home, and this is their crossover game, I believe, and that's Kansas City, and that sucks for them. Kansas City returning or going to Cincinnati, that's the only advantage I pose for the Cincinnati Bengals in that game. But again, it's Mahomes, it's company. We'll see what happens. We'll see how good the Kansas City Chiefs could be this year. That AFC West is going to be so much fun to talk about.
That was the Chiefs game for the Bengals last year. That was their coming out party. That was the time in the season that I took them dead ass serious when they went into Kansas City and they took care of business in a big win.
Ready for this 4-game stretch, and one of them I don't find to be a hard one, but 3 out of the last 4 games for the Bengals are tough. They got to go on the road against Tampa Bay, then on the road against New England, and I don't think New England's going to be any good, so that'll be their win. But those last 2 games for the Bengals, if they need to have them, if that AFC North is tight at the end of the year, bro, Buffalo comes to town, and then the Ravens come to town. Both home games for Cincinnati, so that's definitely a good thing. Yeah. But boy, oh boy, man, that last 2 stretch,
even
3 out of 4 games.
The Patriots getting going into New England in December, late
they
December.
play in Cincinnati, so it's not.
Bro, I don't give going into New England, right?
Yeah.
They got to go to New England.
So, taking all this consideration, the over/under is 10. Finished 10-7 last year. This year, 3rd toughest schedule in the NFL. We said that before. I'm finding it easier to bet the under.
They're gonna push.
You got 10 wins out of this. You got 10 wins out of this?
Because you're looking at every game that's tough as like a potential loss. Like there's going to be
because I think they can go on the road and win games like
they're
Tennessee
win some tough
and Pittsburgh, and I think they can win those games.
They could beat the Chiefs. They could beat fucking at Buccaneers. Like we don't know what the Bucs are going to be by that time. We don't know a lot of these things are going to shape up. Last year at this point, when we were having a conversation about Cincinnati, we all had them finishing 4th in their division. So they're sitting here. So obviously we're just speculating, but
if I have them at 9 and you say a push, more than likely that means another NFC North title is coming to Cincinnati.
Yeah, no.
I mean, well, you like the Ravens
I
a lot.
like the Ravens a lot too. So that's going to be a battle. Those are the 2 best teams.
That last game of the year, bro. It's going to be Bengals and everything. That could be for everything.
I think the difference
maybe even
for me
the bye. Who knows?
Is like I'm rooting. I don't want to. I like the Bengals more, so I don't want to root to be right because I initially said the Ravens. I'm having a hard time believing in my own initial pick. Like I feel like Cincinnati's just such a clear better
He's not
team.
believing in his own bullshit, folks. Imagine that.